former deputy mayor of Jerusalem, to talk just a bit more about what this means overall. Fleur, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now. First of all, big news coming out of the Middle East for this ceasefire to be happening right now with Hezbollah, between Israel and Hezbollah. What are your initial thoughts when you heard that it was officially approved by Israeli's cabinet?
Well, firstly, we're all relieved that it's the end, hopefully, of war in the north. Over a year, we've had an unprovoked war within the north of Israel that started on the 8th of October, a day after the massacre of the 7th of October by Hamas, with no apparent territorial claim. They just wanted to join in a second front, at that point, war against Israel. We have 70,000 Israelis who don't live in their homes. They've been evacuated from their homes, and they're living all around the country, many of them actually in Jerusalem. And they've left their farms, they've left their livelihoods, children have left their schools. These people have to go home. And so for all those reasons, we're very happy that this is the end, hopefully, for the time being. Do we trust Hezbollah, who is a terrorist organization and the long arm of the Islamic Republic of Iran? Not quite. Did we defeat them in this war? Absolutely. We got rid of all of their middle management, all of their senior management, and their main leader, Hassan Nasrallah. We also managed to get rid of 80% of their armaments, of their missiles, which were about 10 times larger than Hamas's missiles. Over the last 13 months, we've had over 12,000 rockets fall on Israel, which is absolutely ridiculous that any country has to put up with that. And only in the last few months has Israel retaliated. So again, what's hopeful about this agreement is that America is taking some leadership here in supervising the disarmament of Hezbollah south of the Litani River, which is supposed to comply to UN Resolution 1701 from 2006. And if it's America supervising and not the very useless UN UNIFIL, then maybe there's a chance that it will stick.
I'm glad that you mentioned the fact that the U.S. is a part of this deal. I do want to pull up this tweet that we have from President Biden right here. It says, "Today, I have good news to report from the Middle East. I have spoken to the prime ministers of Lebanon and Israel, and I am pleased to announce that they have accepted the United States' proposal to end the devastating conflict between Israel and Hezbollah." Of course, we do know that Biden just made comments as well in the Rose Garden speech. This is essentially what he was saying there in those brief 10 minutes of comments that he made there at the White House as well. So I have to ask you, when you're hearing that again, now the U.S. is a part of this peace deal, that, I should say ceasefire deal, that has been brokered, what is your confidence that it will last longer now that you're knowing that there's a lot of foreign influence as well?
Well, there's more hope that it will last longer, but ultimately we have to all understand that the main problem here, the head of the snake, is the Islamic Republic of Iran. As long as the Islamic Republic of Iran stands, then Hezbollah still has a chance to rearm and attack Israel again, even with American supervision. What we need to do as a civilized world is understand that the Hitler of today is the Islamic Republic of Iran, which doesn't just pose a threat to its population, it poses a threat to the entire free world. And the aim of the free world and the leaders of the free world, which is the United States of America, has to be the end of that very toxic, very repressive regime.
And when we're taking a live look right now there in Beirut as well, we do want to show you just another comment that's coming now from the Prime Minister of Israel. The Security Cabinet this evening, in a 10-to-1 vote, did approve the U.S. proposal for a ceasefire arrangement in Lebanon. Israel appreciates the U.S. contribution to the process and maintains its right to act against any threat to its security. So a bit more details that we have, again, in this deal that's now happening. And when we know that this is supposed to begin at 10 a.m. local time there in Israel, where do you think that, again, I should say, is there a possibility that because there's still a few more hours until the ceasefire actually is enacted, that there are a possibility for any more war or weapons to be fired between these two countries?
Well, absolutely. This is their specialty. When they know there's a ceasefire coming, is when they double down and they throw more. And then, just to add insult to injury, they will maybe throw a few rockets until 10:10, just to show that they're not really complying completely. That this is the nature of the beast. We've seen it a million times before. We can hope for the best. The best part of this agreement, I think, is that America gives Israel the right to attack as soon as we see that there's any type of building up of armaments, any type of building up of terrorist infrastructure of Hezbollah. So hopefully those checks and balances will be enough to keep Hezbollah at bay for the time being. This is definitely a defeat for Hezbollah. Let's hope that we can continue on the path to peace.
And when we're talking about some of these regional conflicts as well, this isn't the only one. Of course, no deal has been reached with Hamas at this time. What are your thoughts there? What could possibly happen in the next few days or months to bring the fighting between those two entities to an end as well?
Well, firstly, I'm very pleased that President Biden actually linked the two conflicts in his speech. He spoke about the fact that Hamas are still keeping hostages, including Americans, and he spoke about the fact that there needs to be a ceasefire and a return of the hostages as a condition for that. I hope that he can also push in the last few weeks of his presidency, he can push for that deal. And he can push mainly for the dismantlement of a terrorist group that is hell-bent on Israel's destruction. No country would put up with what we put up with. Every country has the right of self-defense. And I'm very glad that he recognized that, and that he reiterated that, and that he's now putting his efforts into seeking a deal.
And we're taking a live look there in Jerusalem as well. Fleur, you mentioned that there are a lot of other civilians that have really been impacted. They're the ones who are feeling sort of the brunt of the fighting that's happening there in the region. What are your thoughts now, knowing the ceasefire deal is on the table? That should bring relief to a lot of families, especially ahead of the holiday season.
Absolutely. I mean, look, the families who've been evacuated, there's about 70,000 people evacuated. They're still a bit suspicious. They can't quite believe that Hezbollah is not going to keep bombing their homes, their schools, their farms. There's been a lot of casualties, and those people now have to gain the confidence to go home. And Israel has to do its utmost to make sure that we rebuild the north so that those people feel safe in their homes.
Any lasting thoughts that you have before we let you go here on Live Now?
Well, ultimately, I just want to reiterate that Israel is a country that seeks peace. Every country that has wanted peace with Israel has found it. And these countries, and they're not countries, they're now terrorist entities funded and aided by the Islamic Republic of Iran, are the opposite. They want destruction. They want chaos. They don't care about their people. They use their own people for their own political and military benefits. So I just hope that we finally deal with the main threat to the civilized world, the free world, to humanity, which is the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Absolutely. Fleur Hassan-Nahoum, thank you so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox, just to break down the very latest that we do know in this breaking deal that we know, a ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel. We appreciate your time here on Live Now.
Thank you.
All right, we do want to